Mhm.
I'm going to put this closer to you. Last week's sound was horrendous.
Coming to you from outer space.
So we're back in the closet. We've tried every different variation. Nothing works.
We're closet people.
We're closet people. I was going to say I'm grumpy. I feel like I come to this grumpy a lot lately.
Why?
Why do I come to this grumpy?
Is it because you're forced to hang out with me?
No, just stuff happens right before I do it.
That is true. I'm not super jazzed.
You're not jazzed?
I'm not jazzed.
Why?
Because I came home to dirty floors and undusted windowsills.
Oh, she said she dusted. Did you tell her what
she probably
to dust?
blew on it.
Did you tell her what to dust?
Yeah, the main floor. If she needs further instruction.
Oh yeah, windowsills is not. You literally have to. There is no inferential leaps with our children. I mean, it's like, hey, can you take out the garbage? She'll take out whatever the garbage is that's right in front of her. Not to think, oh, there's one in the bathroom. And oh, hey, look, there's a piece of garbage here on the floor. I should pick that up and take. No, like it's. So you got to say, get the one in the bathroom and the one from the office. And you got to be very direct and explicit and direct.
Duly noted.
Mm-hmm. Or even like there's something recently. I'm like, it's just common sense. It's just common sense.
But hey, common sense isn't so common.
No, I can't even remember what it was. It was something like put the dishes away. That one is miraculous. Put the dishes away. Which ones? Like any ones that need putting away. They'll put like ones from the counter away, but then they'll be like, oh, I didn't know about the dishwasher.
It is truly remarkable because we've operated with a one rack, one dishwasher system pretty much their entire lives. Yeah. And yet it's a surprise to them every time that there could be dishes in either. It's fascinating to watch. If I wasn't so aggravated by it, I'd be fascinated by it.
There was something the other day that it was just so common sense. And it was fascinating. I can't remember off the top of my head, though. But yeah, I was poopy about that, but disappointed in my grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't the sandwich I wanted.
He had high hopes. He had high hopes. And he built it up too high because you know how good Bob's Lake used to be.
I know. And then I just pounds too hot. Inside, it just was a bad experience all around.
Well, I'll get you deli meat next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's all good. So, my question of the day.
Let's do this.
Actually, what are your thoughts on the Taliban?
What? What is this, 2010?
I know. I was just going to say, is that even talked about anymore?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ruling party in, I think, Iran. I don't know.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Generally not good things, but.
I just love kids, man.
What?
Because I was working with a family.
Yeah.
I think they might listen. Hello, family. I was working with a family recently, and their little guy has started asking about the Taliban. And so not even that, there's just someone at school who wears traditional Muslim clothing and went and asked, are you Taliban?
Oh, my. But, I mean, let's be honest. If it's a little guy.
Well, that's just it.
He doesn't know everything that entails.
So we got in trouble. And I'm like.
If you're a 30-year-old white dude at a bar, well, that's a completely different story.
No. And I guess he's fascinated with, like, he loves the royal family.
Yeah.
And Harry has a new book.
Yeah.
Apparently in it talks about how he killed 20 Taliban or something.
Oh, that's right. When served, yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And so this little guy is just fascinated with it, right? And I'm like, well, it's curiosity, right? Why are we maybe this is a good question. Maybe this is the question. It wasn't going to be my question, but maybe this is the question. Just around, because he ended up getting in trouble, and now parents are worried about racism and prejudice and bias.
Who got him, like the teachers?
At school.
Yeah, okay. So right there, I immediately strike that out.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
I have noticed a trend with our children, and I'm not saying this of all teachers or all schools. I'm merely going off my own experience. That is a punish first, don't ask questions later mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And that pisses me off because in this past year, so since principles have changed, there has been more, like infinitely more punishment first episodes that we're hearing about.
Yeah.
And no opportunity to hear both sides. Right. And sometimes it's directly Willow. Sometimes it's her friends. Sometimes it's her trying to step in and help her friends. Sometimes it's her just trying to give the perspective because she was there and saw what was happening. But in almost every one of those tellings, there's no teaching moment or learning moment implemented. It is a punishment moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this little guy went in and legitimately had a question and said, "Are you Taliban?" Whoever was around should have said, like, "Hey, bud, do you know the difference? Like, do you know?" And he'll probably say, "No, I just heard about blah, blah, blah." Cool. Let's talk about that then. And then you have a fantastic opportunity to explain to this kid the different religions, why Taliban might not be a good word, because right now he doesn't have an idea.
Exactly.
Right. But what you've done instead is you've created a moment where he now knows, oh, that kid, because he still doesn't know what that kid is, or the person was, or whoever he asked about the traditional ornamental, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's what she said. Why do you think that? And he had said because of the clothing, right? So
sure, but then you can go, yes, sometimes they do, and explain it further, right?
Yeah.
But to get him in trouble for asking a question
mm-hmm.
is, you just pull my soapbox out, stand on it. But this is precisely what leads to what we're experiencing now with woke culture, right? And I hate the word woke. I hate that it's thrown around it all the time. It's a useless term.
I've never actually heard it. Can you explain it?
So woke,
I think I know, but
it's being used primarily as an insult for those with a more liberal bent, right? So someone that is complaining about equal treatment for people. Well, the conservatives will call them woke, and this is woke culture, and this is the liberals trying to do whatever. It's just another slang term to try and diminish, more liberal thought patterns. The problem is there is a lot of shittiness with that whole culture of wokeism, right? Because it leads to the extreme of positions, in my opinion. And again, this is just my opinion, in extreme positions where it's not about teaching and not about learning. It's about being right.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same vein as someone saying, I'm offended. No, sorry, not even that I'm offended. That's offensive. No, you think it's offensive. You feel offended. That's not the person's problem, right? But we've now created this society where someone can put their hand up and say, that's offensive. It's offensive to me. Okay, great. It's offensive to you. I'm just going to continue on with my day. But now in it all ties together. In this black and white, I'm offended, you need to do something about it world we live in, that's exactly what happened with that kid. So rather than saying, hey, bud, great. Why did you say that? Oh, because of the clothing. Well, did you know? They punished him, right? They asked and then they punished. So what does that teach that kid?
Yeah.
It teaches them, probably don't ask a question next time, right?
Yeah.
Second, creates an immediate negative recollection of Muslims inappropriately because it's not what he was upset about or what he was asking. And whatever else that comes along with the Taliban. It's no different than anything else. People have developed an overreaction to anything that could potentially be offensive. And by doing so, they are shutting down any chance at understanding, acceptance, and frankly, any sort of conciliation.
Conciliation, yes.
Conciliation. And that's another part of it. We can get into that too, because I think that was a fantastic conversation. But to me, it would piss me off if I was the parents of that kid and I found out that my kid said that, I would have been pissed off.
Well, and they were asking, like, should we be concerned? I'm like, no, he's a kid. He doesn't know. He's interested. Like, he needs to. And this is, I think, where my question was actually going to go about, if kids have wonderings and maybe inappropriate wonderings or even uncomfortable wonderings. I remember one kiddo that I worked with who would take girls and boys, whatever, into closets, and they would show their private parts, right? And he's told, you cannot do that. And oh my goodness, so like brought him in to see me. And it was like all the parents are in an uproar and it's all upsetting. Certainly it's upsetting, you know, if it was your child being brought in, and it was all innocent, it wasn't just him, but nobody would explain why it was bad. It was just, it is bad. You do not do that. You are in trouble. And he came in and he's like, Caroline, I don't understand. Like, I just don't know. We're curious, right? And they're exposed to all these things on TV, you know, and well, even last night, I thought we were. Oh my God. I thought we were watching, up until last night, was fairly family friendly content. And then last night it was like, oh my gosh, it went like, I had to fast forward a whole, but I wasn't fast enough for part of it, but they're exposed to these things, but we're not explaining. We're not developing critical thinkers.
No, we're looking for compliance, right? That's ultimately what it is. And it's no different with what I was just saying. I'm offended, so comply with my feelings. No, there's a reason. There's an opportunity. It's the same thing that gets me with appropriation, right? Appropriation of culture. Has it happened? 100%. Someone that wears someone else's traditional clothing out of respect, that's not appropriation. That's acknowledgement and respect, right? One of the best things that happened in the past few years, and I don't think they're doing it anymore, was Willow's school for 2 or 3 years in a row had First Nation elders come through and teach them everything and let them wear the ornamental costume and explain what they meant and explain why they're important and give them an understanding of the reverence that needs to be, given to them, instead of just saying you can't wear it because you're not Indigenous, right? Well, that doesn't help them understand why. That doesn't help them understand the importance of it, right? And it is like so going back to your original example, that's a perfect example to reach out to any one of the number of Muslim temples and say, hey, would you be cool if brought my kid or his class in and you can explain to us your religion and how you approach things and just give them a really good understanding of both the traditional wear and why it's important. Dude, that would have been an amazing field trip. Amazing field trip. But instead, you punish the kid and moved on, right? So what you're doing is you're saying, I don't particularly, and I know there will be a ton of people that don't agree with this, right? I get that. Teachers especially, I'm sure, will feel that they're in a bad spot, whatever. But just ask yourself, right? If that was you and you were that adult, what would you have done? Is your first instinct to punish and say, no, no, no? Or is your first instinct to say, hey, that's a great question. Not the way you asked it isn't really, we're going to explain why you probably don't want to ask it like that, but it's obvious you want to learn more about it. Let's go find a way to learn more. Yeah. Right. And you were talking about Maya's teachers this year and that one biology teacher that's just
amazing.
Yeah, he's really smart in how he's getting the attention, and they are, you can see she's retaining a lot of it. That's a teaching moment, right? That has
just
nothing.
So a couple of things that he's doing. So Bio 30 teacher who, teaching reflexes will get up on the table or a desk and then jump off. So he's teaching reflex. In lessons this week, they were learning about fight flight response and everything that's happening in the brain. And he was talking and then screamed in the middle of his lecture to startle them, and did. Maya's like, he freaked me out. But now he triggered their physiological reactions to being startled. And so they had firsthand experience learning about exactly what was happening. And she could talk about the adrenal glands above her kidneys, releasing all these chemicals. She could talk about that. She never would have if he just had droned on. But anyway.
She would have said what every other student says, which is boring. It sucks. I hate it.
Yeah. But every day she's come home saying a new thing that she learned in bio.
And she loves them. She loves them. Yeah. Right. And social, she was pretty happy with too. And she was going into it dreading it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
so teaching nationalism, because the teacher would come in and say, you know what, dude, I like Jeff better than you. And you know what? You guys all suck. My period 5 class is way better than you guys.
Yeah. And the kids had no context. They're like, what are you talking about? They exhibited exactly what would happen in that situation. And he was able to reel it back and explain the concept. And they all went, oh, okay.
Of unfairness. And that's 100%. How revolutions start.
100%. And so that, and I I want to be really clear. I sympathize with a lot of the teachers and educators out there because I feel
sure.
the system is
For sure.
the system is not set up well. But at the same time,
it's not just teachers. I think it's adults.
100%. But I'm talking the construct of this example, right? There's no budgetary restrictions on an open-minded approach, right? And what I'm witnessing more and more is a punitive compliance approach. And so we could pull Willow in here right now, and I can ask her what she learned at school on Friday, and she won't tell me because she doesn't remember it. But I can guarantee she'll have one or two examples of things she was told she had to do. She just went on about the 2-hour assembly where she wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right. And she's like, other classes got breaks where they can go to the bathroom, and my teacher said I couldn't go. What is that teaching her? Right? Is it more disruptive to have a kid that is about to wet themselves and can't focus on what's going on anyways, or let them have the 5 minutes, quietly disrupt everybody while they go out and come back in and be done with it? Right? What are you teaching? That to me is the question that all adults need to be asking, educators and just parents as well. As well, we talked about this the other day, right? The so what? So what? What is the point of what you're doing? And another kind of concept to that is you and I have been talking a lot more about, as we're watching the kids play their ringette games, one of the questions that we keep saying is, who was that pass to? Where was that pass going? It's the same concept. What is your intention? What are you trying to accomplish in that moment? Well, that's applicable across the board. This kid comes up, asks a question that he doesn't know is inappropriate, right? Because he's genuinely interested. In that moment, what's your intent? Well, the reaction of the adults in that situation, the teachers or whoever, their intent was to punish him. Their intent was to make him compliant because they themselves didn't want to deal with the awkward position that had created. Well, if your intent was, I'm going to make sure he understands, and we're like, had he gone in and had nicknames and negative comments to go with the question, absolutely, you got to figure out how to curb that. But that's not.
No, 6-year-old little boy who's just
genuinely, hey, are you Taliban? No, bud, this is why, right? Let me explain it to you. It's not what happened. And so to me, it's exceptionally important. This goes throughout everything. This is something I really struggle with lately is adults. I won't isolate it to educators because that's not fair. Adults, most of them don't know how to teach, and they don't know how to handle things that are outside their own comfort zone. So the systems that they employ are about conforming, right? I'm the adult, you do what I say. And yeah, sometimes you got to take a hard line. I get that. But at the same time, me drawing a line in the sand has never once gotten me the results I was looking for.
Right.
Not once. So what is the point of it? Right. And this isn't about kids being allowed to run around and do whatever they want and all the crap that comes with it. This kid demonstrated a legitimate interest in something. It manifested in a question that was ill-timed and ill-directed, but he's still curious.
Yeah.
Right. And what you've just done, and the other time stuff like that happens, you're just going to teach them that Muslims are bad, and I get in trouble for asking questions about it.
Yeah. And it's a perfect opportunity. Actually, I wish we had Todd on this episode.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about the dissenters. We want to raise dissenters. And for me, it's all about the critical thinking, right? And I think we are just so rule bound, just listen. And I hear it around, kids are just airy-fairy, doing whatever they want, walking all over. But it's not, you're right. It's not about that. It's about us taking that time and getting over our own discomfort or fear or whatever is going on in our head. How dare you? Or, and taking these opportunities to raise critical thinkers about
100%.
Whatever it is that comes up.
And open-minded critical thinkers, right? With the cape, like I wouldn't have known. I don't know how to explain what traditional wear looks like. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain the difference between the Sikh culture and the Muslim culture, but I'd be interested to learn with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
great question, kiddo. Let's go check it out.
I have no idea, dude. Let's figure it out. Like, to say that there's not an opportunity to learn when you carry around the largest database in the world in your phone, in your pocket, come on. Like, that's just lazy parenting. That's just lazy adulting. It's just lazy being existing, right? Like,
although I would say too,
yeah,
because there's a lot of misinformation out there too, but maybe the first step is let's have a discussion. What do we think? Well, just going back to why is it bad to show our private parts, right?
totally.
Because that's probably more along the lines of what kids are actually going to bring up. Well, maybe not though, because kids will say, why is he so fat? And, like they say, and we just, shh, and we're never teaching them, right? And so it's about, well, let's go talk about this. Maybe there's a place and a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's conversations to be had with educators in the moment, but maybe it is, hey, you know what? That's a great question. Let's talk to mom and dad and they can talk with you tonight about it, whatever it is, rather than red flag, emergency, emergency. This is why everyone's so anxious all the time. But then maybe like, what do you think? Let's just have a initial discussion about this and get them thinking, us turning it back on them. Why do you think, this might be inappropriate? Let's talk it out so that they have to start coming up with it and critically examining evidence. I mean, that's so important anyways. I do that with my grad students. We have to critically evaluate research that's done because, there's a lot of research that comes and is even published in, these big scientific journals that there's flaws. Can we take it all at face value? We got to look at the validity of it. And so that's the same thing with everyday sorts of things and news, and especially social media. And this is why we have so many followers of people like the Trumps in the world, and so many people who are easily sucked into cults or just conspiracy theories, and so many people who still believe, or not still, but again believe that the earth is flat. It's because they're not thinking critically. They're not taught to think for themselves and to question.
Mm-hmm.
The only way we can move forward, you had asked before, are we regressing as a species? I don't think it was on this.
No, we were just driving to Edmonton.
Driving about, you're saying, are people regressing and just are thinking, are we going backwards? And I think we almost are, because we're taking things at face value. And we see it so often, Jenny McCarthy and the autism vaccinations. And like there's examples after examples.
Well, and the thing with that as well is
it's fear mongering. We get sucked into it.
Well, and it's a whole industry, right? The Jordan Petersons and the Ben Shapiros and all these guys that are out there on both sides. I'm not saying that there's not liberals doing the same thing. The Young Turks are out there bashing the liberal agenda and or not bashing it, but banging the drum about it. And that's fine. But they've made a business out of opinionated sound bites, and they spread it over a populace that is not equipped to ingest, kind of figure it out and align it to their own moral compass, right? And it comes at them so fast that they don't have the ability, even if they had the skill set a little bit, there's just so much out there that over time I'm sure it wears people down, right? But it's essential. It's essential. Kids are naturally curious, and they are smart, and they are intuitive, and all they need are the pieces to help put together the picture the way it really is. And we rarely do that because it takes time, and it's inconvenient, and it's uncomfortable sometimes, and it's just not, why it doesn't matter. Like, just do your work the way I tell you to, because we got to go. We got to get you to practice. Bud, quit asking questions and eat your dinner. Okay. I need you to get ready for bed. I get it. I get it all. Right. But at the same time, we as parents, to say that we have access to the greatest amount of information in human history at our fingertips, right? And we use none of it to make our kids better at understanding it and applying it in a more positive manner is a failing on our part, right? And I'll include myself in there. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, right? But it really makes you think that for those that have had kids and the kids are older now, when you would lay on the floor with them and spend hours getting them to understand how the mobile works and how this piece goes here and what this does, why did that stop?
Mm-hmm.
Why did that stop? Because the kid still needs to understand how the pieces of the world move together and why they need to do things the way they need to do things. They don't need you to do it for them. They need you to lie on the floor with them and figure it out, right? And give them the tools. And we don't do that. And our institutions don't do that. And when I step out of the bigger soapbox, it's because the population is needed to pull levers, right? They don't need critical thinkers. They don't need people that are out there philosophizing. They need people capable of sitting on the other end of a call center phone and answering calls and pulling levers and doing small basic stuff. And we as a population, very few of us will see our kids break out of that unless we actively promote that. And that kiddo and the fact that his parents are trying to figure it out and understand it, that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And it never goes away. Like, I hope as our kids get older, we continually have those conversations of, hey, take a step back and look at the bigger picture, right? What is this telling you? How does this align to your gut? Right. That's the other thing, is we don't let kids rely on their gut very often.
So true.
Right. Because their gut may create a decision that I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But when they wheel it back, you're like, oh, okay. I would never do that, but I get what you're coming from, bud. Like, don't do that again, right? For these reasons, whatever. But we don't do that, right? We punish, and conform. And this poor guy, I hope he has the opportunity to ask another uncomfortable question and is met with someone that's excited to explain it to them, right? And that's part of the reason that you and I, because we've talked about it, I love traveling with the kids, right? Every time we travel with the kids, they come back a different person, right? And every time we travel, we make them do something they're uncomfortable with to expand those, right? Like, they got to navigate airports, right? And they suck at it, but they're figuring it out. They're getting better every time. They got to go talk to someone in a different language and figure out where we got to go, or what we're going to order for dinner, or where we're headed. I don't care if we end up lost, right? Lost is not the end of the world. But these kids need to be able to absorb
navigating, was it Germany's train station?
I failed at it, right? Like, Germany, whoever out there says that Germans are awesome and logical has never traveled in their transit system, because it was horrendous. Italy worked better, and Italians don't care.
So all this to say, I mean, I guess then the question is, how do we help? How do we respond to those uncomfortable questions and maybe it's creating opportunities to think critically, but capitalize on the opportunities that come up naturally. So I think we've sort of talked about it, but just breaking it down into, like, maybe it is coming home and talking about what's the big hard question of the day, or.
Yeah. And if an opportunity presents itself where it's the school telling you that the kid did something, break it down with them and break down both sides of it, I think, right? Like, why the school did what it did, right? And why we're going to take a different approach. And it's important for you to understand, why the school may have concerns, but at the same time, don't get weighed down with it. Right.
And I do love the question, like, how did you come to believe this?
Yeah.
Whether it's about yourself, that you can't do math, right? How did you come and how did you come to learn this? Okay, awesome. Like, I like how you're thinking about this, right? So why do you think the teacher responded the way they did? What do you think that they were upset about? Well, I don't know. Well, let's just think. Let's brainstorm out some ideas. So again, it's not spoon feeding either. It's getting them to really critically think about this 100%. And kind of collaborating. And then coming, and sometimes I think, like, I mean, I just think of the one example of the kids who were showing their private parts again. A lot of adults really couldn't articulate why it was bad.
Yeah.
They couldn't really, it's just, you can't, it's just it's your privacy. It's only for you. And that's the only thing that they could think of. And so in the moment, that's okay. We are not going to know all the answers, right? And so if you want it together, like, hey, that's fantastic. Like, let's figure this out and talk it through. Fine. But if you need some time to compose yourself, you know what? Great question. I need to think about it. I'm going to percolate a little bit. Let's come back again. Right. So you can really think about what those answers are, because it's important. We can't say just because, because they're going to get more curious, or they're defiant, or defeated.
Yeah. And I think in addition to that, I think it's important for parents to not be scared of not being able to be definitive, right? Like, if you say, like, I think a lot of parents don't feel that they're in a position where they can say they don't know, or they don't know why, right? I bet, using your example of the kid in the private parts, I bet the reason why those parents got upset and they couldn't articulate it was because deep down they were embarrassed and they didn't want their kid to be the weird kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't say that.
Well,
right?
or fear that, well, because school, normally it's a big red flag, right?
Mhm.
That if we see sexualized behaviors like this, there must be sexual abuse somewhere in the family line, right? And yeah, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 100%, that was a red flag. It ain't a red flag anymore because these kids are exposed to all of that now.
Literally 5 minutes into last night's show.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They are exposed. So it's not a big red flag, but it is. I think it does come from fear, whether it's embarrassment or fear, what that means for them as a parent or what their
kid
is going to become,
Totally. And the unfortunate part is the institutions that are set up will have that permanently, right? Like the kid asking about the Taliban, that doesn't go away. It's going to be noted on his file, and the next teacher's going to say, oh, he had a behavioral problem. Oh, my. Wow, racially motivated. Oh, my word. Right? With no context of just some dude fascinated by someone wearing a hijab and saying, are you this? Right? And I think I mentioned this before. It's one of those idiot TikTokers. But what he did was really funny because he walked around campus, which was primarily a white campus, I think he's done it twice, and wearing full Mexican regalia, like massive sombrero and like really colorful vests and stuff. And everybody he asked on campus, that's offensive, man. You can't wear that. You can't appropriate their culture. He went to like some part of LA or wherever he was, or Mexico itself, I don't know, surrounded by Mexicans. Is this offensive to you? And everybody's like, dude, you look amazing. You look fantastic. Love it. I love the hat. Like these guys love it because but he wasn't making fun of them.
No.
And that's the borderline, right? When there's a malice to it, it's a problem. When there is a curiosity or a celebration of it, there shouldn't be. But in this black and white, yes, no, I'm offended, you're offensive, there's no room for people to be able to understand, oh shit, he just might like that.
Yeah.
Right? That's his deal. Like it's no different than a dude dressing up like a 50s rockabilly dude, right? It's not appropriating my culture, right? It's not appropriating my parents' culture. It's a part of our history and our past that some people gravitate to, right? And if it's not being used in a way to diminish or harm the initial entity or the people or the whatever, I don't see any problem with it celebrating it, right? But again, I am not a person who is in a position to make a lot of those comments because of the society we're living in right now, right? So,
well, and I think something's very similar. Someone had done that, and it was like a kimono or something, and same thing. Like everyone's like, "You can't wear that. That's so blah blah blah." And then they went and asked, "Like, no, we love it. Thank you. It's an honor that you are sharing, like showing off our culture 100%, to everybody."
Right.
So, and I know your dad, when he was in the Middle East, the guitars, he brought me back traditional clothing. I've folded it up and put it away because it's just, I would never wear it because of fear of,
what it looked like,
the inappropriateness, or even my symbol for Koru, New Zealand. Like I know a white person, a white middle-aged woman, emailed me about appropriation. But when I talked to the Maori, they're like, no, it's amazing. It's an honor. Like excited that we're connected in this way. And it had meaning for you. And we could go on forever.
Totally. And I think the common thread is all openness and acceptance, right? And treating an uncomfortable situation with a what are we doing here? Right. What do we want to teach out of this moment? Right. What do we want to get out of this moment? And obviously there are always situations where it's obvious it was a negative intent. It's obvious that the what prompted it was not a positive thing. But it's really important, to your point, to break it down, be open-minded, ask questions, help them ask questions, and just be cool with the journey of understanding what it is, right? Because you're going to create people that are more accepting, right? More relaxed around each other, less likely to say something horrific, right? Because they have a connection to people in that background, race, religion, whatever, than if you shut them away and make them appear to be something to be worried about or feared. And that's precisely what they did with this kid, right? And the Taliban's not great. It's not that you want them to do it, but there was an opportunity to explain the difference because it's a massive difference, right?
Absolutely.
Most Muslims you meet are phenomenal people, right? Sikhs, phenomenal people. Taliban, not great, right? Not a great interpretation of things. But again, what's the difference? Why is this a concern? Why do you want to understand the difference? How do you support people in that position? Like, I'll never forget, this is kind of rambling, but I'll never forget when 9/11 happened. I was a manager at the time of a team of people at TELUS, and I had a couple of older ladies on my team who were Muslim. And I'll never forget how Mahmuda sat there and we were listening on the radio, back in the olden days when we didn't have streaming television. And she was crying. She was openly crying. And I'm like, what is wrong? She's like, you don't understand. Like, my life will never be the same now because of this. And she's absolutely right, because of the fear mongering and the intentional oppositional stance, right? She was a mom to 3 kids, working her butt off, and was an absolute sweetheart and would never harm a fly. But there are morons out there that paint things with the wrong brush. And that's ultimately what I think as parents, we need to be responsible adults enough to realize that we're the ones that create those outcomes down the road.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say if it, just to your earlier point about summing it up, it's be open-minded, ask the right questions, be excited to learn with them, and acknowledge your failings. If you don't understand it well enough to explain it, go find someone that can and learn with them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Perfect.
Cool.
Heavy topic, not where I had meant it to go, but I think it was a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. What's the Taliban? All right.
Good day.
Good day.